Hey everyone, welcome to the Hey Hannah podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mya Fields, but to my friends and those who know me well, I'm just Mya. I'm a higher education administrator, a mother, and a wife of 14 amazing years. But above all, I'm a Christ follower. This podcast is a special platform created to honor the memory of my beloved daughter, Hannah. It's here that I have the chance to have the conversations that I never got to have with her, to share the wisdom and love I wish I could have passed on. It's a reminder to cherish the precious moments we're given and a testament to the power of healing, hope, and personal growth. If you're someone who's seeking personal growth, inspiration, and practical advice to build a solid foundation for a successful and fulfilling life, this is a place for you. Join me as we honor Hannah's memory together. Laugh, cry, and learn. Get ready for a podcast that is so much more than you could ever imagine. The Hey Hannah podcast, healing hearts, one conversation at a time. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope each week you are being encouraged and you're enjoying the episodes as much as I am, because I love being able to come and share each week with you all. So I know we are winding down the year. The holidays is typically a really busy time, but I hope you're getting some time to be with your family and your loved ones and get some reflection in. I know it's usually also around like the holiday period, especially as we go into New Year's, it's a very heavy time for setting goals and people reflecting like, okay, what did I do in 2023 and what do I want to do going into 2024? And you have the infamous New Year's resolutions that everyone sets, but as we know, sometimes those don't always make it with us to the end of the year. I'll just throw this little disclaimer out there. You can set a goal at any time. Nothing magical about the beginning of the year. I know sometimes we can have FOMO, so feel like, oh, I need to go ahead and set one. But you can set a goal at any time. If you're ready to make a change, you're like, oh, some goals I want to set them today. You don't have to wait to January 1st. But in today's episode, we are going to talk about not letting the process steal your promise. We're going to talk about, some of the challenges, the setbacks that often come about when you are in pursuit of your promise, and your promise is really just like your dreams, your goals, anything that you're aiming towards. And we'll, of course, we're going to have some scripture. And we'll just talk about some resources, obviously, that'll be beneficial to you as well. And then we'll have a little reflection piece at the end to help you reflect on kind of where you are and where you want to move forward to in the future. So the first thing I want to talk about is understanding the process. The journey towards wherever you're going, your goals, it's seldom a straight line. It's typically a lot of, ups and downs, detours, unexpected challenges for sure. But that's that's all a part of life. We talked about in several episodes how if we want to grow, if we want to develop, in which we should all be growing, we typically are going to run into situations that are not just the smoothest path because, the shakeups is where the growth really happens, So even when we do get to challenging times, remember that every step of the way, God is still with you, even through the really difficult moments. And when I was thinking about the process and everything, it really made me think about the process with Moses, and he's leading the people to the promised land. As you know, if you go ahead and flip open Exodus at some point, they had a process between all of the times that, Pharaoh was like, okay, y'all can go. And then wait, let me bring y'all back. Okay, y'all can go again. Wait, let me bring y'all back. It was so much involved. It wasn't just the promise that came of y'all going to the promised land. Y'all going to be free, walk out. And it's all good. There was such a process involved, but they had to stick through the process in order to get to the promise. And there's this song, and it says, "The promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness." Um, but with that song, it talks about the promise still stands. But I wish they could put another line in there that says the process still stands, because I think sometimes when we're going along the process, it can be hard or discouraging to kind of stick to and remember the promise. Now, I don't want to ever discount the severity of, some situations that others may be dealing with. Like, you may be listening to me right now and you're having the hardest time of your life. Like, life can be hard. It can throw you curveballs. Absolutely can happen. But I want you to remember that life can be hard. Things can be perceivably wrong for you, but God is still good. Like, both of the things can be true at the same time. So, with those curveballs, it feels like sometimes some stuff hits you so hard it makes you want to do over. You remember as a kid, you playing games and you didn't really like the way your turn went. You got the opportunity to do a do-over. And my oldest is great at living out the do-over right now. He is 6. And so they got this PlayStation right before summer break last year. And so they've really been enjoying it. And one of the new games, because they love to play sports games, they got the Madden football game. I can't remember what it is. I guess Madden 24. And so he likes to play it with my husband. They both enjoy playing this game. And so I hear them on the couch playing one night, and like they play like these seasons. And so they're playing the whole game, and my oldest he's winning in the beginning, so he's just talking trash. He talks a lot. He is a trash talker. So this is, right up his alley. He's just talking. And then all of a sudden, you can hear in the house when the score shifts, because now all of a sudden, my oldest boy is a lot more quiet and you can hear more of the game as he's playing, because now at this time, he's getting beat. And this particular night, he started to get like beat pretty bad. And he's like, "Daddy, don't score any more touchdowns. Stop scoring. You're being mean." And so my husband's like, "No, we're playing a game. I'm not gonna not score. That's the point. I wanna win." And so eventually my son just gets up in the middle of the game and he just starts the game over. I'm laughing now, but it's like they were knee deep in this game. And by his logic, he was like, "No, I need a do-over. Let me go just start this game over right now. And now we're back on equal footing and we're going to do this thing again." And so I feel like sometimes as an adult, it'd be nice if you you can think like some things are happening like, "Man, I wish I could have a do-over." It could be that easy. But that's not always the case. Keep in mind, you won't necessarily always understand everything about the process, but you do have to trust that is working ultimately for your good. And when you don't understand, that's even more time for you to lean into God, because you may not understand your process. But let me tell you, even if you don't understand your process and you're even a little cloudy on your promise, what you should be always doing is focusing on growing that relationship and getting deeper into your faith. So I'll always encourage you to do that. If you feel like, "I just don't really understand a lot about what's going on," you may not get full understanding. You may not get full clarity. But in the meantime, make sure that you are growing your faith and staying encouraged in that way. There's plenty of people in the Bible who had really crazy processes, but the promises are still there. We all read about Joseph. So many things happened with Joseph. He was in jail. His brothers didn't like him. He was dealing with strife, but ultimately the blessing was still at the end. So when we go back to reflect on the Israelites, and we're looking at, it says when back in Exodus, when Pharaoh let the people go, God didn't take them the shorter way. He took them a different way, which was longer. It was going to take them longer to get to where they were going. But it says he didn't take them the shorter way because if they face war, if they face challenges, or if they face trials, depending on which version you're reading, they might change their mind and go back. They may let the process hinder them from getting to the promise. So he took them a completely different way. I'm sure there were some people there who were like, this way is a lot longer. I don't understand why we're going this way. And I think sometimes that's how we feel in our life. Like, I don't understand this process. I've received a promise. I've received this word. I'm standing on this promise from God, but my life right now does not reflect that. Even, in biblical times, sometimes it helps to connect with, it's not just you. I'm sure they didn't understand their process either, but we know that the promise was still there. And as they're being led out, if you continue to read through Exodus, it talks about they were given a cloud by day and fire by night. This is what they're using as their biblical GPS, so to speak, the directions, the guide on how to get to where they're going. It doesn't say that the map was given to Moses, then Moses was leading the way and they just followed him. It says they were given the cloud by day and fire by night. This is so important because it reflects the ability, or it reflects the order of us following God and not putting all of our stock in following individuals. And so even if Moses took a detour, because he may have decided, I know a quicker way, like this way seemed a little bit long. I don't know which way the cloud's going. I'm going to go over here. The people still had the ability, because they could see the cloud, they could see the fire, to follow God directly. And this is really important because I think sometimes this can even throw some people off in their process, and they don't make it to their promise because they're so invested in following someone else as their connection to the Lord. He gives us all the ability to have a relationship and be in direct connection with him. We have the word. We can go to him in prayer. You don't need your pastor to go to the Lord in prayer for you. And I completely understand the importance in the strength in community. But my point is, don't be so invested in the relationship that you see with someone else to where if they stumble, now your faith is gone. And it's very important that I say that, because it's like, we'll see an eventual like a falling away, not like people going away, but just a falling away of even some of our spiritual giants that a lot of us look to. And we just may see things shake out in a way that we didn't necessarily hope that they would. We may be disappointed, but don't let that stop your faith, because ultimately, while we appreciate them being used by God and whatever gifts that they were using to glorify the kingdom, they're still human. All of us are still human. We're all still individuals. And our purpose and our goal should be continuously to follow God directly, which we have the ability to do. So I do just want to encourage you with that. Don't ever let there be a substitute. You have your cloud by day and your fire by night as well. And that's your ability to go directly to God and grow that relationship and make sure that you're staying in continuous connection with him. So as we think about some of the things of like, okay, we're going through this process. you still have to remember that you want to stay encouraged. So a couple things that I can think of that I want to share with you just to help you stay encouraged. The first thing is having the right mindset, having a positive mindset, just keeping your mindset on something good is coming. Like there's positivity, something good is coming from your situation. And that just starts with how you get up in the morning. It can kind of set the tone for your day. You can think of, before you get out of the bed, at least 10 things to be thankful for. Lord, I thank you, for my health and strength. Lord, I thank you for this bed, that I'm able to wake up in this warm house. Whatever it is, we can think of some things to be thankful for, which sets us in a mind frame of positivity. Just being grateful and being thankful throughout your day helps to set your tone and the perspective you have when you're viewing things. I think another thing that you can do to stay encouraged is set some small goals, some achievable goals along the way, and celebrate those things. If you have some long-term things that you want to do, say you have a long-term goal of losing 30 pounds, maybe set a small goal of losing 2 pounds in a week, whatever it is. Break those things down. You're starting to get some small wins. And don't be afraid to celebrate whatever it is. Celebrate those wins. I know it seems silly, but when you celebrate those small things, it really just helps to give you momentum because you start to get in a groove. So I do recommend, like, you break the larger things down, set those small goals along the way so that can keep you encouraged. And I wish I could put this as 2, 3 bullet points. This is so important. Surrounding yourself with people who are not only positive, because you want them to be positive, you want them to also be supportive, but you also want them to be authentic. You want people who love you enough to even correct you when they see you get out of line. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with wise, the Bible says wise, godly counsel. But people who are reflecting or who are in your, you have the same value system. So even when you're maybe getting a little out of line, you're surrounded with people who can correct you, who can call you back into place, which makes the biggest difference because that's what's going to keep you on the path to reach your promise. So you want to surround yourself with people who are able to help you carry your vision and to keep you encouraged. And sometimes maybe you feel like I need a mentor. It's nothing wrong with that. Mentors are still available outside of, school. I think sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm not in school. Where am I going to get a mentor from? Somebody that you look up to, somebody that you admire. Reach out to them, email them, call them. In the age of social media and all this connectivity that we have, a positive thing is we have so many avenues to be able to reach out to people. If you see somebody that you admire, they're doing something that you want to do, reach out to them and ask them to be your mentor. That doesn't mean that you're patterning your whole life behind this individual, but we can all grow and learn from other people. So maybe that means you're at a point where getting a mentor is the right next step. But the main thing is I want you to reflect on who are the people you are currently surrounded with. If you feel like you may need to do a check of the people that you're surrounded with now, do that. Find some people that are going to be positive, supportive, and encourage you. And make sure, obviously, that you're doing the same. Show up for the people in your circle as well. You want to be a person that's going to do those same things for other people, encourage them, and continue to bring value to their lives also. And the last thing I would say is keep yourself, I like to call it a success file. You could say a win journal or whatever it is, but keep up with the wins, keep up with the successes, write those down. we have a tendency to very easily recall the things that went wrong or all the things that didn't, necessarily work out the way that we thought that they should. But when times get tough, it's good to go back and see the successes, the places where you had the wins. And when you have that success file and you flip through a few pages, you realize that you've come a lot further than you think. And you go back and reflect on that growth. Start working on that success file. That's something you can do tonight. Start writing down a few of your small wins that you've had and use that when you get to days and you feel like it's really hard. Use that as your encouragement just to keep going. And don't forget, God has a plan. And when it seems like the process or whatever you're going through is trying to steal your promise, remember that your promise is still there and God has a plan and He is with you, walking with you every step of the way. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few reflection questions. Just think about these throughout your week, and just use this to kind of help you shape your plans and your goals. What's one small goal you could set for yourself today? Just think about that. Think about who are some of the people in your life that uplift you, that pour into you, and how can you spend more time with those people? I know sometimes we have relationships like that and where we meet people, maybe it's organizations or something where you're not naturally in an environment with them for a long time. When you reflect on those types of relationships, that's something that you may want to initiate a stronger relationship with those individuals and figure out, how can we spend more time together? Do I need to ask for a mentorship? Do I need to ask, can we meet for coffee? Whatever that is. But I think the first thing you need to do is reflect on those people in your life so you can identify who they are. And then okay, these are the areas where I want to grow relationships with these individuals. And the last thing that I'll say is spend time in prayer. Make sure you're strengthening your faith, but spend time in prayer, talking to God, asking for the encouragement you need to keep going through your process. Pray to God about your promise. Make sure you're just keeping in connection with Him. And by strengthening your faith, staying in your word, that's going to ultimately keep you encouraged as you go along. Remember that the process, it may test your determination, but it doesn't have to steal your promise. Trust in God's plan and keep moving forward every step of the way. Thank you again for joining us in another episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. We pray that you have been blessed and inspired and encouraged on your journey. Stay tuned for our next episode. Same time, same place. And until next time, everybody, take care.
And that's it. I'm out of here.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. We hope that you found inspiration, insight, and encouragement in our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected with us, be sure to like, subscribe, and review the Hey Hannah podcast. Your feedback helps us reach more people and spread our message of love and wisdom. You can also follow us on social media at Hey Hannah Podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay updated on all the latest episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and engaging content. And for those of you who prefer the visual experience, catch the video versions of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search Hey Hannah Podcast and hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. For even more Hey Hannah goodness, visit our website at www.heyhannahpodcast.com. There you'll find updates, bonus content, and join a community that embraces you with open arms. Your continued support truly means the world to us. Together, let's spread love, share wisdom, and honor every precious moment. Because here at Hey Hannah, we believe that life is meant to be lived well. Remember, a new episode of the Hey Hannah podcast is released every Wednesday, so mark your calendars and be sure to tune in. Thank you again for being a part of Hannah's Hive. Until next time, take care.
Entertainment.